Welcome again to everyone. Thanks for joining the last RoboSub Team Time before we are all together in August. While we are waiting for a minute or two for a few people to join, as a reminder, make sure that your name includes your team name or your school name so we know which teams we have on the call today. And as we were talking about, let us know in the chat how your water testing has gone with your bot. Dave hasn't done much water testing because he's been in the distance for a while. Joining. We will be recording this session so that we will publish the video recording after the fact so that you can come back to it and reference it if you have to leave early or if you want to share it with the rest of your team. But we have a lot of different reminders to go over today, so we will go ahead and kick off. Before we get started, just wanted to give a shout out to a few of our sponsors. You will see most of these on site at the event next month. Big thank you to the Office of Naval Research, MathWorks, and Blue Robotics for continuing to support RoboSub and make this event possible for all of you. Also wanted to remind you that MathWorks in particular, as well as a few of our other sponsors, have discounts or complimentary licenses, things like that, that they provide all of you teams. So make sure that you scan that QR code to see all the different perks that you get from our sponsors. So we are just going to dive right in. Wanted to give you a quick rundown on the schedule. We've already gone through this. Nothing has changed since our previous meetings, but just kind of wanted to remind you of a few key things. You can see all of the details for this schedule in the team handbook. In the appendix, we have the full detailed schedule there with all of the locations and everything you'll need to plan for. On Monday, we're planning on starting in the afternoon with team check-in and team orientation. Just as a reminder, this is the one event that is hosted away from the pool. So it's actually hosted at our conference hotel. So make sure that you plan for that, especially if you are not staying at the hotel. That is where we'll be hosting the check-in and orientation. That orientation is mandatory. So make sure that you have at least one team member there on site. A few other things as we go through the rest of the week. We have breakfast and lunch available for purchase with the food trucks. We also have practice and qualifying from Tuesday to Thursday from 7 to 6 every day. Tuesday to Thursday, we also have presentations and assessments going on. So you should be able to see that schedule on the website now. We will be making a few modifications because we've had a few teams cancel, but we'll make sure you get the final schedule very soon. We'll let you know once that is finalized, and then we'll of course give you the final one that week as well. We plan to have semifinals on Friday and Saturday, and then finals on Sunday. Very similar schedule and process that we have done in previous years. And then we'll also have the awards hosted at Willette Sunday evening, and then a pool party for all of you teams at Willette as well. One last thing is the overnight pool testing, which will also be hosted at the hotel, the conference hotel. That will be from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. every evening, starting on Monday. As I said before, that first day, just wanted to make sure that you are planning for your team to be on site at the hotel, that conference hotel, starting between 3 to 4 to make sure that your team is all checked in. And then at 4 o'clock, we're going to start the team orientation. Again, you have to have at least one person from your team there so that you can get all the important information. A lot of it is safety oriented, so that we're all set for the rest of the week. And then this year we're doing something new. We're actually inviting our sponsors to come out to the event on Monday to showcase themselves. So they'll have an opportunity to tell you a little bit more about what they do, showcase different products that they may have, and then there may be some that are actually there to recruit as well. So you're invited to stick around for the sponsor showcase after team orientation. We got a lot of requests for this in previous years, particularly because it's at the front end of the week, so you're not quite as tired and sleepwalking. So hopefully this is something that can be beneficial for you. You can meet some of the sponsors that will be there for the rest of the week so that you can start having those conversations, making those connections. Like I said, also we'll have pool testing starting that evening at 10 p.m. The one other piece of the schedule that we wanted to remind you on, and is again that presentation and assessment schedule. So you should be able to see the schedule on the website now. Those presentations and assessment times that you are assigned shouldn't change. If they do change, we'll notify you. Again, there may be a few iterations that we change because we've had a few teams cancel. But your team has been assigned a 15-minute time slot for your presentation. And then following that, you will have a 15-minute time slot for your assessment. The presentations will be 10 minutes for your presentation and then 5 minutes for judges Q&A. So make sure that you have all of that prepared. You are welcome to prepare a visual aid. You'll be able to have a presentation if you have a slide deck that you want to put up. And then you have the option to bring your vehicle with you to the presentation. It's not a requirement, but you are able to if you would like to. And then your system assessment will be taking place outside of the presentation room back in Team Village, where you will have your vehicle because that is part of the assessment. And we will have a different group of judges that are there to conduct that assessment. Once your assessment is finished, we will have our RoboNation photographer come over and take an official team photo with you in the Team Village. All right, that is it for the schedule. Again, if you want to go through any of the specifics, that is all available in the team handbook. And let us know if you have any questions. But I will pass it over to Sherry to give you some reminders.
All right, cool. Next slide. All right, well, you have my personal cell phone number, my email, and you have Juliana's phone number. If you guys have any issues while you're on site, we are here to help you. If you have any issues at the hotel, contact me. You can text us or you can reach us by Discord anytime. Juliana's a lot faster on Discord than I am, but I do get the notifications as well. So just reach out to us if you have any questions, especially as your planning is continuing, and especially reach out to me if you have any issues as we go through this presentation. If you haven't done something or you haven't, or you have any issues as in the next couple weeks, just reach out to me either via text or via email, and I'll be happy to help you. So next. All right, this is a overview photo of our amazing venue, Willett Aquatic Center in Irvine. It's a really unique facility. The swimming pool that we're using was built for water polo, so it is uniformly deep at 7 feet. And so anyway, and it's got bleachers so that we can watch from above. So hopefully you'll have a better view of what's going on in the pool than we are able to do at Transdeck. Although I know everyone is missing Transdeck, so are we. But for now, this is a great venue for us. Okay, next slide. So here's just a venue layout that you guys can look at. As you can see, this is a little bit different orientation of the same thing. It also includes, Juliana, go back one for me. So our competition pool on this picture is the pool on the bottom of the screen. If you look to the right, you'll see a big gymnasium and a kind of a blank basketball court. That basketball court is where our team village will be. That's where all of your team tents will be. So just to give you an orientation. It's okay, go back to the next one. So as you can see, area number 1 is actually our competition pool. Area number 2 is that basketball court that you just saw. That is where your team village and your team tents will be. Area number 3 are actually the gymnasium that is technically behind the swimming pool is Irvine High School. And so we will be utilizing some of Irvine's classrooms, which is number 3, which is where your presentations will be. Number 4 is actually the RoboNation, I'm sorry, number 3, I had to change that. Number 3 will also be where the RoboNation staff office will be. So if you need any help from any of our staff, we need to change that one. Julie and I changed it on all of our other things and we didn't change it here. So sorry about that. Number 3 is where your presentations will be and RoboNation staff office will be. We will also have a RoboNation booth right next to the pool in between 1 and 2. Number 4 is really just for our volunteers. Number 5 is where we're going to have our award ceremony and our pool party. So that one will be where you will be able to swim and we'll have a fun time after awards. It'll just be a really fun time. The important one that you guys care about is number 6. that is your loading zone. If you look at number 7, way down at the bottom right-hand corner, that is where you're parking. It is a 5-minute walk from Willett, and you kind of have to come along the street. Apologize for that, but we're not able to displace the public parking right in front of Willett Aquatic Center. So when you guys are, just like at Transdeck, when you guys are bringing your team, you're going to drop off. Number 6 is the loading zone where you can drop off your students, drop off your equipment, and we'll see the pathway back to Team Village where you'll have to walk around. So I want you to be planning that. Let's go to the next slide. This is a little closer up so that you guys can see how things will flow in this new venue that we have. You can see down at the bottom right-hand corner is the loading and unloading zone. That's where you can briefly, this is like an airport, people. We drop off our stuff and we leave, and we have somebody take our car over to the parking lot, park, and walk back, okay? So, you know, I won't have police there, but we will have people there going 5 minutes unloading, and then we're kicking out your car because we've got other teams that need to unload. Same thing in the evening. So, and you've got to walk around where you see all the green arrows. You've got to walk around the pool to get to the back of the team pits. So what that means is that you will need to make sure that either you have enough people to carry your equipment, or you will have to be able to load your equipment on your little, you know, cart, and that you bring. We will have a few carts, but this is a location where we expect to have, we can't just leave things out and about because they will go missing. So if you need a cart, I think we have a few that we can loan out, but you'll have to check one out and you'll be responsible for bringing it back, likely at the Robonation booth. So we're still working on that process, but just be planning. If you have a lot of equipment, we will have security overnight at the team pits to make sure that nothing goes missing, but we don't want you to leave anything valuable there overnight because it is an open school, and you guys were once in high school, and there are some people who love to make mischief, and California is no different. So just be aware of that. Anyway, so I think it's pretty self-explanatory. One of the things I will just mention, if you have anyone who has a disability who needs an extra, any kind of accommodations, please reach out to us and let us know if they need parking needs, or any kind of special transportation needs. We need to know about that ahead of time. So just let us know. One of the benefits of being at this location is we do have real restrooms. I will have porta potties at the back of team pits in case you can't walk more than 200 feet. The city of Irvine requires if I don't have a bathroom within 200 feet, I have to provide porta potties for you. But as I said, we will have indoor bathrooms for you this year. That is one of the really nice benefits of being at Willett. All right.
Sherry, a question in the chat for you on whether or not people will be able to walk around the edge of the competition pool.
Yes, if you see that spectator area, that is bleachers, and you will be able to walk around. If you look at the competition pool, and up in the little right-hand corner, you see a really small little blue rectangle there. That you barely can read it. That is going to be your practice pool. So if you need, because I cannot have a body of water open to the public without a lifeguard. So normally we have a practice pool much closer to the team pit area, but it has to be on the pool deck. And so that will actually be the place where you can go and put your subs in to practice buoyancy, whatever testing, any kind of testing. It will be the 24-foot by 16-foot. I think we have 48 inches of water about in that pool. And that's where your practice pool will be. As you see, there's sponsors going to be around that area. So you'll be able to talk to our sponsors and have sponsor tables. You'll have pretty much free access except for immediately to the entrance of each of the courses where the course tents are. So yes. Any others? Any other questions? All right. All right, Team Village layout. Just wanted you to see, you'll have a 10-foot by 10-foot space for those teams that are really large. Just plan on knowing that you have a 10-foot by 10-foot space. You get 2 tables, 7 chairs. If you need more chairs, you know, you're gonna have to probably plan on bringing that or being in shifts, okay? We will have our normal team lounge, which will have some Adirondack chairs, some games. I think data sharing will be over there. And we'll also probably have a technical desk. The NIWIC is planning on sending some technical engineers to be there and be a resource for you, and they will be located in in the team lounge. So, all right, next. Just some reminders. A lot of you think sunny California, and while that is true, you need to be prepared. California is always sunny, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's hot. It can be very hot, but it also can be pretty chilly. We'll be a little more inland, so I think it will be warmer than it is at Transdeck, but just make sure that you come prepared with a jacket or a sweatshirt. Bring sunscreen, make sure you avoid sunburn. We will be having water stations to make sure that you are drinking. We will be asking you to keep on guard for heat exhaustion. We just finished our student unmanned aerial systems competition, and we had 3 kids down with heat exhaustion. So we are gonna probably just harp on you about making sure that you drink. We will have a food truck real close to Team Village that you can purchase. Although I will tell you that Irvine has a lot of really nice places to go, lots of Uber Eats and DoorDash, as well as Trader Joe's and other places where you can purchase food and save some money. So anyway, just a reminder that the venue will close at 7 o'clock, and that includes Team Village. So you need to make sure that in your schedule, you're prepared to be off-site at 7. We encourage you guys to make sure that you go get some dinner, take a rest before you guys go back to work, and be at the pool at 10 p.m. We do close the overnight testing at 2 a.m., partly because the hotel has requested that, and we also want you guys to go back to the room and get sleep. Pretty much one of the main reasons that we see heat exhaustion are the programmers who stay up all night and drink nothing but Red Bulls, don't eat, and are out in the sun all day. It's kind of like your batteries, you know, they just, after a couple of days, the body just falls apart, and then I have to like ice you down and, you know, shove electrolytes in your face. So let's try not to do that. And we try to make you go to bed at least for a couple hours of sleep. Your body needs that. So, all right, next. Here is our beautiful new hotel. I want to remind you guys that the reservation deadline, the reservation cutoff is coming up on July 9th. If you have not made your housing reservations, please make sure that you're doing that and you've got a place to stay. If you need help with the reservations, please let me know. We've had some teams reach out, and our contact at the hotel has been able to get them taken care of. So we've got a really nice big pool. I think you guys are going to love it. So I will say, just make sure that you respect it. We have some pool rules that we'll share with you at team orientation, and just respect the space so that we are invited back. This is our first year, and when we're in San Diego, all of our hotels will gladly have us back. So we want to keep that going. So we just ask that you'll be respectful of not repairing your equipment on the pool deck, so that the next day, you know, little Johnny steps on your wire or your whatever, and then I get in trouble. So just be careful about that, not making a lot of noise, and just using the pool for testing only. All right, next.
One question that came up last time, Sherry, if you can answer it, is if there are teams that are not staying at the hotel, if they can still use the pool for overnight testing.
Yep, that information is in the Discord under the RoboSub 2024 hotel information. You can use the pool practice, but you will have to pay for parking. Just be aware that all teams have to pay parking, and if you're going to come and park, you will have to pay the $18 parking fee at the hotel to use the overnight pool. So just be aware of that and be planning. All right, our most fun topic is shipping. Okay, this is where, and let me just say, we just had a team win SUAS without their drone because it was stuck in Abu Dhabi. So if you haven't started your shipping, you're already kind of late. Make sure that you are arranging your inbound shipping and your outbound shipping. Don't forget your outbound shipping, because a lot of people are like, I'm going to get my sub to Irvine, and then we'll worry about outbound shipping when we get there. Not a good plan. Go ahead and make your outbound shipping arrangements now. You cannot have your sub arrive to the hotel prior to July 29th. If you're using a shipper like UPS or FedEx, this is very difficult to do, because they don't always promise delivery date. I can say that if it comes in before July 29th, you will probably be charged an additional fee by the hotel for exceptional handling, because we're already paying for a specific storage room to store your big crates in. So just be aware of that. Do your best. I will do my best to try to avoid those fees, but I can't guarantee that you won't have to pay an extra fee if your sub comes in early. You must pick up your shipment from the hotel by August 5th. After team orientation, if there are any subs in there, you just need to pick them up. You can leave your crate in our storage area during the competition, so you don't have to junk up your room, but you must at least notify us that you have picked up your equipment out of the big crate. Shipments must leave the hotel no later than August 14th, and you must have a team member available to meet your truck. What that normally means is sitting with your box, or sitting at the hotel and waiting for the shipper to come and pick up your box. You must be there. I tell this story every year when I had teams that trusted the hotel to take care of that, and the shipper picked up 2 boxes and the wrong sub went to the wrong school, and those 2 schools had to work it out and pay additional shipping to have their subs shipped back to the correct school. So don't do that. We have provided an inbound shipping label for you and an outbound shipping label for you. Make sure that you print plenty of those out for yourself. Make sure you put your school name. Believe me, we have to sort through about 50 boxes because we're shipping our own equipment to the hotel, and we use the same labels that you do when we're trying to sort all the different boxes that arrive when we get there. So we've got an outbound shipping label that looks just like this, except that it's reversed. Hilton Irvine's at the top and your school name and address is out there. And make sure you please put a name and a phone number on there so that the shipper can reach you if they need to. So, and just, let's see. I think everything is there. Highlighted on this document is batteries are exceptionally difficult to ship. Make sure that you have a plan for your batteries, either carrying them on if you are trying to ship them, or if you are ordering brand new ones to arrive at the hotel, which some teams do. You have to have a plan of getting them back home. And so make sure that you are taking care of that. It is the wild, wild west in shipping, everyone. Every shipper is allowed to make up their own rules about what they will accept as far as used batteries, how big of batteries, how many batteries, all the stuff. So you need to make sure that you understand what those rules are so that you don't show up and have no batteries. Or you have batteries that you just spent a lot of money on and you have to give them to me for disposal because you can't get them back home, because that happens. All right. Questions? No questions. You guys are on top of your logistics, it seems. All right, I'm going to pass it over to Dave May.
Thank you, Sherry. There we go. Again, this is the layout for the competition pool. Obviously, you've seen that already from Sherry, as well as where all the locations for all the different things are going to be. Go ahead, next slide.
There you go.
There we go. Again, we're trying to figure out the best way to get your vehicles in and out of the pool. As Sherry mentioned, the pool is uniform 7 feet deep all the way across, but there's a drop between the top of the deck and the top of the water of about 12 inches. Some of the solutions we're looking at is like pool steps or a a little PVC platform you see over on the left-hand side. But we're still sort of figuring that out. And as we get better about what we want to do, we'll post that in Discord. And we look for, and if you guys have any suggestions, please don't hesitate. A reminder for this year for teams who've been here before, the vehicle will be weighed on a floor scale. So your vehicle will need to be in a cart of some sort. So we can push it up on the scale, take the weight, and then remove the weight from the scale.
Don't forget that if your machine's gonna sit on a cart, you've got to have some kind of a support structure so that you don't damage anything that you've got on the bottom. So please plan for that.
Yes, thank you. I'll kind of quickly go through all the different tasks. There's isn't a whole much new between last team time and now, but just kind of solidifying all the different things that we voted on and stuff. First is the rough seas. So there's a coin flip. You can have the diver point your vehicle towards the gate, or you can have a coin flip and either have heads or tails. And in the Pacific is the gate. Gate's a PVC structure with corrugated plastic sheets on the left and right, black and red. The gate's divided in half, and on one side is a red clockwise arrow, and on the other side is a blue counterclockwise arrow. They could be on either side, and I will mix things up between the 4 different sections of the pool. And you get whichever side you pass through determines what you do for the rest of your tasks. You get more points if you stay within your choice for the remainder of the tasks. And as a reminder, there's a with style points, 10 feet or 3 meters either before or after the gate, you get extra points. Both for yawing and for rolling and pitching. If you roll and pitch, you get more points. So you can go up to 720 rotation. So if you do all yaws, it would be 800 points. Or if you do roll combinations or all roll and pitch, you get 1600 points extra. Hydrothermal vent is the buoy task. You can touch the buoy with your vehicle. Go ahead and click. Or you get more points if you circumnavigate around the buoy, either clockwise or counterclockwise, depending on which side of the gate you went through. As an extra bonus for teams who aren't going to try to do the torpedo task, you can actually fire your torpedoes at the red buoy for some extra points at that particular task. Ocean temperatures is the bin task. So it's a 2 foot by 1 foot bin. At the bottom of the bin, there's a half red and half blue divider. There's a divider that's not shown. And again, based on your choice going through the gate, you're going to drop markers either on the red side or the blue side for the most points. Mapping is the torpedo task. There are 4 different openings, basically ranging from small to large. The smaller opening, you get more points. You can't obtain points for firing through 2 of the same opening. So ideally, you fire it through the smallest one, and then the next smallest one for the most points. And again, a little addition for this year, if you're more than 12 inches away from the torpedoes, the mapping task, and you fire a torpedo through it, you'll get some extra points. And I see there's a question about how deep will the red buoy be placed. Off the top of my head, I don't remember what I put in the rules, but there is a height that's specified in the rules. So there's a question about the torpedo task, if it's going to be in this particular orientation or if it can rotate. If you know me at all, it will rotate, but there's only going to be two different orientations. So it'll be either this or 180 degrees from this. And then there's another question about the torpedo task, about the order. And if you do the smallest and the second smallest, you get bonus points. And then if you do the second smallest and then the smallest, you don't get any bonus points. That is correct. When I specified it in Discord, I need to double check to see what exactly I put, but yeah, order does matter.
Dave, based
Yeah.
off of the handbook says, the buoy will be 3 to 4 feet from the floor.
Thank you. And when you say this task, I'm assuming you mean the torpedo task with 2 vehicles? Copy. Yes, you can. For multiple vehicles, essentially each vehicle is judged separately. So it's as if it's one vehicle. So if you have one vehicle that happens to fire through the 2 large openings, and then you have your second vehicle happens to fire the correct door, the smallest, and then the second smallest, you will get points for whichever one is higher. That makes sense. For these particular tasks, if it's a bin task, i.e. like where you're collecting things, and you have multiple vehicles trying to attempt like the bins, obviously you could potentially drop 4 markers in the correct space, and we'll count up to the maximum of 2. So if one vehicle drops 1, like for example, let's say red is your color, you have one vehicle that drops 1 in the red, and the second vehicle that comes along and drops both of theirs in the red, then you'll get points for 2 in the red. Final task is collect samples. There's a lot going on here. There's a 1/2-inch PVC pipe octagon that floats on the surface. We use 10-foot long pipes that are attached to the octagon to hold it off of the edge of the pool. So that way there's no guy lines in the water for your vehicle to get hung up on. And then directly below the octagon is the table where the location of samples is. Go ahead, next slide. Table itself is a PVC structure with corrugated plastic sheet for the bottom, and then some edging around the sides so you don't necessarily blow things off. There are 4 purple bins purchased from purchased from Dollar Tree, which they no longer sell. The 3 samples on each of the tables, there's 1 tube worm, 1 coral, and 1 nautilus. And you get the most points if you put 1 sample in each of its own baskets. Here's what they currently look like. The tube worm is using matte red red pepper, and I glued 6 nuts, the 3/16 inch by 16 nuts, epoxied them to the bottom of the red, so it's weighted, so it should stand upright. Well, actually, it does stand upright, not should. The coral is using gloss popsicle orange, and then the nautilus is using gloss sunbeam for the color. This is the plastic bin that I got from Dollar Tree, which they no longer sell. In general, these are the dimensions. So to find the tasks, there are 2 paths, one that goes from the gate to the hydrothermal vent to the buoys, and then one that goes from the hydrothermal vent over to ocean temperatures, the bins. And then the two other tasks are located solely by pingers. So there's one pinger located at mapping, which is the Torpedoes, and one pinger that's located at the center of the Octagon. And we'll take the pool and divide up into 4 different areas: Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and Delta. They alternate which ends they start in, so that teams next to each other don't necessarily interfere with each other. There's the gate, there's the path markers, you kind of see there's the buoys, there's the ocean temperatures, the mapping, and the collect samples. So you kind of get a feel for the flow of how things go from start to finish. And actually go back one, sorry. So for practice days, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and Delta will be open for practice. For semifinals, Alpha and Bravo will be converted over to semifinal runs. Charlie and Delta will still be open for any team to use for practice. I will rearrange the course for semifinals. So the very first day of semifinals, I'll rearrange the course, and it'll stay that way. And teams that are in the semifinals will have 2 runs. They're required to do 1 run in Alpha and 1 run in Bravo. So this question about pingers. And does each pool have its own frequency, and the 2 pingers in the same pool have the same frequency? So I'm assuming by pool you mean section. So yeah, Alpha, for example, could have the frequency of 25 hertz. Let's figure out which one. I should post that. I will post that in Discord. It's usually 25, 30, 35, 25, 30, 35, and 40, I believe. Are the 4 different frequencies that I use, and I try to separate them. So Alpha and Charlie will probably have 25 and 30, and Bravo and Delta will have 35 and 40. I'll think about it. I'll see what I did last time, but I know, like I said, I'll post it. And so yeah, all the pingers in Alpha, for example, will be set to 25, and only one of them will be pinging. Either none or one will be pinging at a time, depending on what the team requests. And there's also the random pinger task that you can also ask for. And for finals, Alpha and Bravo get combined, and I basically spread everything out to fill up half the pool. During the morning of finals, if you remember the schedule, Charlie and Delta are set up for a third chance. So teams that are not in the finals will have the opportunity to do one more run and potentially get a high enough score to be actually placed as a wild card in the finals. And then during the afternoon, when we do the finals, Charlie and Delta will be cleared out. So it'll just be Alpha and Bravo for the finals. During the morning for the finals, the teams that are in the finals will get a chance to practice that day on that course. And again, between the morning when the teams practice and the afternoon when the finals are actually being run, I'll rearrange the course a little bit. Oh yeah. Congratulations to all the teams who've already pre-qualified. Don't forget, there's still time to pre-qualify. Accepting videos until July 22nd. So there's a question about where the actual dock. So for this, if you've been to Transdeck, we had a floating dock, and so we would lower vehicles into the water, and then teams would use the floating dock in order to work on the vehicle in the water. For here, it'll just be the pool edge. So take into account the distance between the top of the deck and the top of the water if you need to do anything on the vehicle.
Together any of your other questions, we're going to talk a little bit about data sharing. And then if you have any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat and we can come back at the end to cover any of them. But we have 2 of our data sharing moderators that are going to share with you some instructions on how to use data sharing, as well as some guidelines on labeling. One thing I wanted to point out is I know there's been some questions on Discord on access to data sharing. So all of you should have access to the Box platform, which is where we host all of the data sharing, with your generic team email address that was used in registration. I know there were a few more invitations that were sent out today, so make sure that you check your email for your generic email address account, and you should be able to have an invitation to Box. But I'm going to pass it over to Sam and stop sharing so that Sam can walk through some steps.
Hi everyone, my name is Sam. I'm one of the data moderators. Let me share my screen. Can you see my screen?
We can.
Okay. So you hopefully have access to Box. To access the data sharing, it's this RoboNation data sharing autonomy programs folder that your team should be granted access to. To access any of the data sharing files, just go into here, RoboSub data sharing, RoboSub 2024, and task. And from here in task data, you should have access to all the tasks. So we have separated out into all the possible tasks. So if you have labeled images or models trained specifically for one task, or you're looking for extra data for one task, you can go into the task specific folders. If you're just looking for as much data as you can get, the mixed task data folder will have everything kind of jumbled together. So if you're uploading data, please make a folder with your team name. And then from there, I've uploaded our models. And if you are uploading models, please add a README that has additional information, such as what the class IDs are and any information about how to run your models so people can use them. And then we're working right now on getting our labeled data up, and similar with your labeled data, please add a README so that teams know what your class IDs are and kind of any the methodology of labeling you're using. So whether that's bounding boxes, oriented bounding boxes, or things like segmentation. From there as well, the data sharing committee is working on having an instance of CVAT running at competition that everyone can use. CVAT is an open source software for labeling images. So it's used by both my team, AirVP, and Ohio State University, and I think several other teams use it. And in the meantime, before we get that RoboSub instance up, we'll also be releasing a guide for how to get your own instance of CVAT up right after the end of this meeting. And if you have questions, you can ping us on Discord and the data moderators tag, and that should let us know you need help, and we can try and help you sort out any issues. I'm going to now pass it over to Cameron, who will talk a bit about labeling guidelines and what techniques OSU uses to label with CVAT.
Thanks, Sam. You guys did throw those slides in, Juliana, if you can bring that back up.
Yes. Once Sam stops sharing, I can share again. Perfect.
So as Sam was saying, probably going to be three main ways labeling the data. Segmented is generally done with just polygons drawn around the object. Bounding boxes, they can be normal bounding boxes, and then there will be oriented bounding boxes, which are just rotated. The main thing that I wanted to kind of say is, depending on what you're using, make sure, like Sam said, make sure you specify which one you're using, so that like, hey, this data set, if you have labeled data, has segmented data, or this data set has bounding boxes, this one has oriented bounding boxes. That way, if you want to use data from other teams, you'll be able to actually tell which one you're using properly. And the next one, please. So also with like bounding boxes particularly, I know different teams have different like styles and different ways that they choose to label things. Like both of these instances could be considered correct depending on which team you're talking about. Some teams may just want to outline the particular image, that is shown, or a particular, the counter or the clockwise logo, versus like the entire object. But again, when you do put your data in, if you can specify, maybe with like some example or something of one of your labels to say this is what the style we're actually using for our data. Because when you're actually training models, if you have inconsistent labels, it's not going to be good for it. And then another thing is, please, if again with the consistency, please make sure your labels are going to be accurate. Because if you're just sharing inaccurate data, it's not really going to help. It's not going to help you. It's not going to help any other teams. So just making sure that it's quality data. Now I know different teams have different opinions on in terms of resolution, different styles of camera, lighting, whether or not you want objects to be partially visible. I'm not gonna. Nobody from data monitor is gonna say that it have to be a specific way for you to do that because everybody does it differently. But at least make sure that the labels are correct according to what you're going for with your data, so that it's consistent. So this is an example again with the big box. Next page is a second example just regarding good, versus not so good for the same thing. Again, just consistent labels for what you're actually trying to achieve. And then one more is just another regarding like segmented. This is the one we're using for our model. So, we're trying to get the entire vinyl here. So not, having edges going off of the vinyl. Otherwise, just messier data leads to a worse model. And then this is CVAT that Sam was talking about. So put together a guide for setting up a local instance of CVAT. You can use CVAT through the CVAT website. I think it's cvat.io, or I'm not sure, you can Google it. You can sign up through them and set up like a team organization, but they have a limit of 3 members on the online version and limits restrictions of how much data you can upload and downloading. But if you want to host your own instance, like on a local computer or server or something of your own, you can do that and you won't have any of those restrictions, and you can have as many people with as much data as you need. So this is just the actual application here, and you can, upload videos, folders of images, and you can do all of the labeling that you need. So it's a very useful tool. And if I'm sure other people have other tools they want to use, but I know this one is very good to use. And if you do want to set up the instance for yourself, there will be a guide posted in the data sharing Discord channel.
All right. Thank you, Sam and Cameron. Appreciate the time to pull all this together and share with the other teams. We are planning on having a talk on the first day of RoboSub on Tuesday with, I believe, both Sam and Cameron to kind of give you some pointers as you're preparing on site at the competition. So you can also ask any questions on site of them. They will both be there as well. All right. So a few last minute reminders, and then we will open it up for any other questions that you may have thought of. We've mentioned Discord a lot on this call, and so always have to have a plug for making sure you're on Discord. You can use this QR code to join, and then you can access all of the RoboSub channels. We'll be using Discord throughout the week on site a lot to just give you updates, give you information, and also it's a great opportunity for you to be able to interact with the other teams. Obviously, you can walk around Team Village and ask for different things, but you could also use Discord and ask for different pieces of materials that you may be looking for, advice, and be able to get a lot of good guidance on there and connect with each other. Make sure that you have gone through all of your last minute checklists. You've reviewed all of the handbook, all the scoring. You've done as many tests as you possibly can. Obviously, you can continue testing on site at the event as well, but there's going to be a lot of other teams and subs that you are competing with, and trying to get time in the water can be really difficult. So make sure you're getting as many tests in as you can. Like Sherry mentioned earlier, figuring out your batteries, figuring out all of your shipping arrangements, preparing for your design presentation, making sure all of that is prepped before you're on site at the competition. Making sure you have your packing list, and of course, making sure you have notifications turned on for Discord. Now we will open it up for some questions, and I see we have one asking in the chat if the event is open to the public or if there are guest tickets that can be obtained. The event is open to the public, so there won't be any formal guest tickets, anything like that. You're welcome to bring any guests on site to the event. Sherry, do you have any particular instructions beyond that?
No, no instructions. They are welcome to come. The event is open to the public.
I will say we always give just a heads up that because it is open to the public, there may be people there that are hiring, that are looking for the next big thing. So just make sure that when you're in your team village or representing your team in any case across the whole venue, that you keep in mind that there are different people in the community, whether they're sponsors, whether they're just community members that are coming by. You don't know who you may be talking to, so just keep that in mind as people may be asking questions. You're always representing your team, your school. So just keep that in mind as people poke around and ask some questions. Any other questions that anybody has? If there aren't any other questions, we are going to end directly at 7 o'clock. Well, 7 o'clock for me, but 8 o'clock for some of you guys, and who knows what time it is for everybody, but right in an hour. Of course, there's one more question. How deep is the difference between the water and the deck?
12 inches.
Yeah, about a foot. Thank you.
All right. There are no other questions. We will go ahead and close out. Just wanted to remind all of you, I think we have caught up with every team that has any last minute waivers or things that we need to finish collecting. So if you are working with us on any of that, just make sure you coordinate with us and get any of those waivers and things that you need to get in. Also, just a big thank you, because the majority, pretty much every single team got everything in by each of the deadlines. So it's just it's a huge relief for all of us. It makes our jobs really easy. So thank you all for working towards those deadlines. I know it can be hard to get all of that together in time. So big thank you for pulling all of that together. You all are great to work with and make our staff's lives very easy. So thank you for that. But yeah, other than that, we will see you all very soon. Thank you all for taking the time, and get on Discord if you have any other questions. We'll be sending out some other final information over the next few weeks, but we'll see you guys very soon. Safe travels to everybody.
Bye. Have a great night.